So when somebody says the word long-range precision rifle, what comes to mind for most people is rifles like this. Purpose-built, heavy-barreled rifles, custom set up for the task of long-range precision shooting. And there is no two ways about it. Rifles like this are, without a doubt, the best tool for the job of long-range precision shooting. And there are a lot of people, whether they have either a profit motive or just an ignorance of how some things work, will tell you that if you want to have a rifle that will shoot out to distance, say 800 yards and beyond or further depending on caliber, they will tell you that you have to go out and spend thousands of dollars to build up rifles like these so that you can accomplish that task and be consistent and be precise. And that is just not the case. So a little bit of backstory here. When I was first very interested in long-range shooting, I could not afford to build rifles like those by no means. And I was very interested in it. I knew that it was something that I wanted to try to get into, but there was no way I was going to be able to afford something like that. So what I could afford was this. It's a Remington 783, bare bones, nothing special about it, and chambered in 308, light sporter barrel. Definitely by no means a rifle that lends itself in any way to being a long-range precision rifle. But because this is what I could afford, because it was something I was very interested in, this is what I bought and this is what I used to learn the basics of long-range precision shooting. And I honestly believe, because I started with this type of rifle, a rifle that makes the task a lot more difficult than something like that has rifles like the custom-built precision rifles have a lot of little things that, once you start to understand how things work, lend themselves to making the task of long range and being precise and being comfortable much easier. And rifles like this have none of that. But you can still shoot long range precision with rifles like this. You just have to know your limitations and you have to understand what you actually have. So having a rifle like this that was not at all set up for being comfortable to lay behind in the prone or positionally, and was not set up for multiple strings of fire, 5, 6, 10 rounds, 20 round strings of fire, really, I think in the long run, lended itself to making me a much better shooter when I got behind a rifle like these custom rifles that were set up for that type of shooting, because I understood how each of those things, those extra things on rifles like this worked, and I understood why these rifles helped me do the task that I wanted to do more efficiently. So shooting a rifle like this in the beginning was, I do believe, a big advantage for me in my long range shooting. So when I first got this rifle, now this rifle is a bare bones stock rifle, I was already reloading, so I had a kind of an advantage, because if you want to have it with a rifle like this, a hunting, non-heavy barreled, sporter barreled hunting rifle, if you want to be accurate at long range with a rifle like this, or extremely accurate at any range with a rifle like this, it's almost a necessity that you reload. These chambers are not cut as precise as rifles like that. They cut them. These rifles are done in mass quantity, and they're just not as efficient, and they can't shoot as many types of bullets and as accurately as a rifle like that can. So where you can buy match factory ammo for a rifle, a custom rifle, and be very precise with it at distance, a rifle like this, it's really hard. You may get lucky and find that exact load, but they are few and far between in comparison to a custom rifle. So because I was hand loading, I did some homework and I learned what it kind of took to make an accurate load for this rifle. So with a rifle like this, to make an accurate load, you have to pick a bullet. Now, like I said, you have to know the limitations of your rifle first. So I tried to pick a bullet, and this was almost by accident because back then, in the beginning, I really didn't understand a lot of it. I picked a bullet that had a tangent ogive, not a super sleek bullet with a high BC, but a tangent ogive allows that bullet to line itself up straight as it goes into the chamber, or as it goes down the barrel, line itself up straighter, and will shoot, and does not require, it's not as jump sensitive as a bullet with a secant ogive, a very sleek ogive. So I picked the first load that I ever worked up for this was a 178 grain Hornady boat-tailed hollow point match bullet. Very good bullet. The thing shot really consistently. I was able to get half-minute to three-quarter to half-minute consistent groups out of this rifle. And that was good enough for me to start to learn long-range precision shooting. So because I have shot this rifle at distance in the past, I have many videos shooting this thing out to distances, 1,520 yard cold bore impact on an IPSC, I think is my furthest shot with this, and many videos shooting out to every distance in between. And I was posting a lot of those videos on Instagram at the time, and I was getting made fun of left and right by a lot of people that just were ignorant of the situation and ignorant of the fact that you could take a rifle like this, and if you understand the limitations of it, can be precise at distance. So I originally was loading the 178 match bullet, and I didn't want to, for this type of video, for the videos that we're getting ready to do, I didn't want to load the same bullet that I had loaded before and knew that it was going to shoot well. So I went out and picked a completely different bullet because I wanted to do a short series here just showing that you can, if you have a Remington 783, a Savage Axis, a Ruger American, or a rifle, any rifle similar to that, that don't let people deter you from going out and practicing and learning the basics of long-range shooting, because it can absolutely be done. So that's what we're going to show in this series. So I picked the 180 grain Match King bullet. I worked up a load the other day. Took a very short amount of time, varget powder, and I got a load that will shoot in some cases quarter minute, but is definitely a half-minute load in a rifle like this. Now, like I said, you have to understand the limitations of this type of rifle. So this being a light sporter barrel made for hunting is great for 1 or 2 shots or even 3 shots. But when you start to heat the barrel up shooting 5-shot groups, it will start to string shots. So this was the very first, once I had my load worked up, I always work up a load with 3-shot groups and then confirm with 5 shots. So the very first time I tried to confirm with 5-shot group on this, and I already knew because of my past experience that this rifle does not like 5-shot groups, the first 3 went into 1 hole. So that 1 hole is like a 0.2 inch group. And then my 4th shot, the rifle had heated up, went a half-minute away. So this 4-shot group was 0.732 inch. And then I started videotaping. I wanted a couple of videos for this little series here. So I videoed the next 2 groups that I shot. I came home one day after work and shot this group. This is a 3-shot, 0.595 inch, and it probably would have been a little tighter, but I even say in the video that I actually let loose of that shot that's outside of the other 2 a little bit high. So 0.595 inches for a 3-shot. And then yesterday when I got home from work, I shot this 3-shot, which is a 0.198 3-shot group. And we've got videos of all that so you can see that. But understanding the limitations of it, when I go out to shoot this rifle at long range, to do the videos, because the next videos that we're going to do with this are taking it out to distance and just showing that if you have a rifle like this, that you can do some long range shooting with it. So understanding the limitations of this setup, I'm not going to go out and shoot a 10-shot string. I'm going to probably shoot 4 shots, and I'm going to let the rifle cool for about 4 or 5 minutes. Maybe even just a couple of minutes, but enough to let that initial heat dissipate, and then we'll continue shooting. Now, that in itself does not lend well to long-range shooting, because in that 2 or 3, 4 or 5 minutes, whatever time we're letting the rifle cool, a lot of things can change, especially with your wind and your wind direction, your wind speed. So that is going to make the task a little bit more difficult, but as you guys will see, it is still possible. So we are going to take this rifle out in the next video. We're going to take it out to, eventually we'll end up at 1,000 yards, but we'll probably do 700, 800, and 1,000 yards, just to show that if that's something that you guys want to get into, and you've been told that you have to build rifles like these custom built rifles, and you know that that's not something you can afford right now, you don't need to. Now the scope that's on this is an Athlon Argos, like 320 bucks. You can get them about anywhere. The thing's track true, the glass isn't the greatest, but it works for the task that we are going to be using it for. Like I said, this is a completely stock rifle. The only thing that I did to this rifle that from the factory is I pulled it out of the stock and I sanded. I took some rough sandpaper, sanded down the barrel channel, so that because of this barrel being so light, it has a lot of barrel whip in the harmonics, and it was actually rubbing up against the stock in a couple of places, and that will deplete your accuracy some. So I did make it a point to sand that groove, the barrel channel down, and make it so that it wasn't touching. And that is the only thing that's been done to this rifle to make it as accurate as it can be. I did put this very cheap, I think it's a Bear Tooth cheek riser on it. I would not recommend this thing. I absolutely hate it, but I needed to build the cheek weld up, and I found this at Bass Pro one day, so I bought it years ago, and it's just stayed on here. But I would not recommend this product. So if you're looking to build up your cheek riser, don't go with this. And I think this is a Caldwell bipod it's very similar to a Harris bipod, and that is all that has been done to this rifle. So next time you see this rifle, it will be out shooting at distance, and maybe that will inspire some of you guys that have rifles like these or can't afford rifles like those to go out and test your limits with your rifle. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out.